Welcome to Mitchell Maths. In this video we're going to have a look at the volume of a sphere. What I've done is I've written the volume of the sphere at the top of the page. This is because you'll be given it in the formula sheet for your exam. If we look at the formula, we just need, as long as we know the radius, then we can work out the volume. So the first question is calculate the volume of the sphere, given our answer to 1 decimal place. Well, from the diagram we can see that the radius is 3.5 centimetres, and it's just a case of plugging it into the formula. So 4/3 times by pi times by 3.5 cubed. You can just type that into your calculator and the answer you'll get will be 179.6, that's to 1 decimal place, centimetres cubed. The next question is an example of what you could get on a non-calculator paper. It says find the volume of a sphere, leave your answer in terms of pi. Right, so we're going to do the same again, only that this time we're not allowed to use a calculator. So we've got 4/3 times by pi times by 3 cubed. Well, 3 cubed is 27. I'm actually going to write the 27 actually before the pi, because when you're multiplying it doesn't matter which order you write the numbers in. Right, I've got 4/3 times 27. That means I'm going to need to divide 27 by 3, and I'm going to need to multiply it by 4. Well, 27 divided by 3 is 9, so that will give me 4 times 9 times pi, which 4 times 9 is 36, which gives me an answer of 36 pi. So that's an example of something you could get on a non-calculator paper, where you leave your answer as an exact. And if they ask you to leave the answer as an exact value, that means leave it in terms of pi also. Right, so with this question, they've given us the volume of the sphere, which is 288 pi, and they want us to find the radius. Now we know the formula of the sphere is 4/3 pi r cubed, and we know the value of the actual volume, and that means that those two are going to be equal, because you use this formula to find the volume, and we know the volume is 288 pi. So we've got this equation, and the question's asking us to find the value of the radius r. And what we're going to do is going to rearrange this formula to make r the subject to get r equals. And the first thing we'll do is we'll get rid of the pi's by dividing by pi. We'll be left with 4/3 r cubed equals 288. To get rid of the 4/3, we're going to need to times by 3 first of all, to get rid of the 3 on the bottom, because multiplying is the opposite of division. So 288 divided by 3 is 864. Next we need to divide by 4 to get rid of the 4. If we divide 864 by 4, we get 216. And finally, we've got r cubed. The opposite of cubing is cube rooting, so to get rid of the cube, so we're going to cube both sides, cube root both sides, to get our value of r. So r would equal the cube root of 216, which gives us 6. Therefore, our value of r is 6. If you get a question like this, what you need to do is you need to get the formula of the sphere, make it equal to the volume, and then it's just a case of rearranging to find r, because there's only one unknown in that. Right, the next question is V is the volume of the sphere. Express r in terms of V. Well, if we know V is the volume, we could just write V equals, and we've got the formula for the volume, which is 4/3 pi r cubed. And the question is asking us to express r in terms of v. So we need to rearrange this formula, a bit like the last question. We need to rearrange it to make r the subject. Well, I'll times by 3 first to get rid of the fraction, which will give me 3v equals 4 pi r cubed. Next thing I can get rid of is this 4 pi here by dividing by it. So I'll divide by 4 pi, which will give me 3v over 4 pi equals r cubed. And then I need to get rid of the cubed. Well, I can get rid of the cubed by doing the cube root of both sides. Therefore, I will get r equals the cube root. And remember, I need to cube root the whole of it, not just part of it. 3v over 4 pi. And that is my answer. That's r expressed in terms of v. Right, and the final question we're going to have a look at is, in a diagram below, the hemisphere is filled up to 40% of its capacity with water. The water is then poured into a cone where it reaches a height of 4 centimetres. Calculate the radius of the water. Give your answer to 2 decimal places. Right, so the first thing we know is that the hemisphere has been filled up to 40% of its capacity. To work out what that is, we're going to need to work out the total volume of the hemisphere first. We know the volume of a sphere is 4 over 3 pi r cubed, but a hemisphere is only half the size. If it's half the size, it's going to be half that, which is going to be 2 over 3 pi r cubed. Well, the volume will be 2 over 3 times by pi times by 6 cubed. And if you put that into your calculator, you'll get 144 pi. We'll leave it as an exact value for now. The next thing we need to do is we need to find out what 40% of that volume is. And to find 40% of something, we can either times by 0.4, or we can divide by 100 and times by 40, whichever you like to do. You can do this on your calculator. And that will get you 288 over 5 pi as a fraction, and then pi. Right, so we've got the volume of water in the hemisphere, which we're going to pour into the cone. And once we pour the water into the cone, we know it reaches a height of 4 centimetres. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use the formula of a cone in order to find out the radius of the water at the top. And you also get the formula for the volume of a cone, which is 1/3 pi r squared times height. So we have 1/3 pi times r squared times by 4. Well, if we do 4 times that, I'm just going to write it on the top of the fraction here. So we've got 4 over 3 pi r squared equals 288 pi over 3. And the first thing I'm going to do with this is I'm going to get rid of our pi's by dividing by pi. That gives me 4 over 3 r squared equals 288. Sorry, it's over 5, isn't it? Over 5. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply both sides by 3. And that will give me 4 r squared equals 864. Over 5. And then I'm going to divide by 4. And if I divide by 4, I'll get r squared equals 216 over 5. And the final thing I'm going to do is I'm going to square root. And if I square root 216 over 5, my answer is r equals 6.57 to 2 decimal places. Okay, and that's my final answer. So it's a case of finding the volume of water which is in the hemisphere and then using the formula of the cone in order to work out the radius of the water in the cone. So that combines sort of like spheres with cones. You sometimes get a mix of questions with those two volumes, or you could have other types of prisms as well. Right, thank you for watching. I hope you found it helpful. For more videos, please click the subscribe button. If you'd like to try some practice questions, please visit my website at www.mitchellmathsandscience.com. The link will be in the description.